The best thing about restarting all over is doing things not always right, but better this time. You may have a lot of regrets or things you haven't done but always wanted to. Restarting might be your chance. Personally, I had to go through a lot of turning points before I decided to make a change in my life. And believe me, it wasn't easy, but it was all worth it because it was all for my own growth. My first turning point was when I left a toxic relationship and left a job I was excelling at. I chose to go the long way and start as a newbie in the music industry. I left without any plans at all, but just had one thing in mind. I gotta do what I always wanted to do. I remember having an exit interview with my boss back then, and just like always, even when I was about to leave, he'd ask me, "So what's your goal as soon as you leave?" To pursue music and to become a producer and eventually get signed. How long do you think it would take you? 5 years. I was just bluffing because 5 years was the usual answer. Then make it happen. That's what he said. By the way, I worked in sales and was also one of the youngest supervisors at the age of 20, which explains that motivational environment. Fast forward in a year, I released my original music. I met my previous manager and created a stage name and released my official first song, which luckily got viral on my second year. I learned how to produce my own music and eventually got signed by a major record label, and it took me 3 years. Wow. Then what? What's next? What's next after that? I didn't know. I had no idea. All I know is that in 3 years, I realized it was not what I actually wanted all along. For 3 years of hustling, I still felt empty and my energy was drained day by day. I felt like a fish looking for the ocean. And that was when my second turning point happened. I left my label and restarted as an indie artist. I created the music I always wanted. And back to square one. I garnered 1 to 40 streams on my songs, but I've never felt so fulfilled. It was the feeling I was searching for all along. But then, my third and recent turning point happened. I got diagnosed with rare ear disease, and it was devastating as a musician. What should I do now? I looked back at my life and I realized that I wasn't living. I was surviving all along. So, here's another chance to not just make things right, but to live a better life. Do you ever find yourself waiting for that major turning point or sign to finally leave a situation or certain person you have been holding on for so long? We don't always have to wait for that painful turning point to pause and realize what we have been spending our time on, or life rather. that sign could be found within, or from the little things like this video. It might be your sign to dive deeper into what truly matters for you.